Hi, I'm Chris Mallett. Today I'm going to talk to you about playing bar chords on the acoustic guitar. I'm going to do that by teaching you to play my song Can't Take Being Away. There's also going to be a music theory lesson at the end on chord progressions and chords in the major scale. So we'll start by talking about bar chords. Bar chords, initially they are difficult to play, and they're notorious for being hard to play in the beginning. However, once you get them down, they make guitar playing in general easier, and composing easier as well. The reason that is because once you learn a bar chord shape, you're able to move that up or down the fretboard. There are shapes for major chords, and then there's shapes for minor chords as well. And we'll talk about both of those on the sixth string from the bottom. And then there are also shapes for starting on the fifth string from the bottom as well for major, minor, and seventh chords on the fifth string from the bottom and the sixth string from the bottom. But for this video, we're just going to talk about major and minor chords, not sevenths. Because they are really difficult, it just takes time. Honestly, I think because you need to develop strength in your hand, your left hand, or whatever hand you play your chords with, to be able to hold down the chords. So on electric guitars, it's easier to do this. On classical guitars with nylon strings, it's easier. But I think generally on acoustic guitars, it's more difficult. And even there's variation in terms of acoustic guitars based off of how high the strings are from the fretboard and things like that. But when I was just learning guitar, it just took a lot of time, like those first months, like 6-7 months, just really rudimentary holding down chords sometimes. So yeah, one thing I recommend is just holding down bar chords. And the song that we're going to talk about today is really mostly bar chords, which can be difficult, but also if you just hold down each chord and then move to the next, just building up that strength, and it's like that you're gonna get a cramp in your hand, and that's gonna hurt. But with more practice, you'll develop those muscles and you won't get a cramp as much. Well, you can play without a cramp once you develop those muscles. So let's get into the song. So for Can't Take Being Away, the verses, pre-chorus, and bridge all have the same chord progression. So the chords for the verse, pre-chorus, and bridge are B, F sharp, G sharp minor, back to F sharp, and then E. So for each of those sections, the strumming pattern changes, but those are the same chords. So we're going to start with our first bar chord. So to play this one, you take your index finger, put it press down on all the strings except the sixth one, the top one, at the second fret. And then some people take the other three strings, like they put their middle finger on the fourth string, their ring finger on the third string, and then their pinky on the second string, with just a fret space in between, and that is the major chord shape on the fifth string. There's another way to do it that I typically do, and I just bar those same hold down those same three strings with my ring finger. It's kind of hard to tell. So when you play it like this, you just have to make sure you're not pressing down on the last string. So this is the major chord shape starting on the fifth string here. And whatever note your index finger has at the top is the name of that chord. So this is the B note, so this is the B major chord. So this song starts with B major. Remember when I first left, I remember my stomach felt empty. So it goes from B major to F sharp major. So now we are at a bar chord starting on the 6th string, which is the top string. So for this, we're still on the 2nd fret, but now instead of barring just the bottom 5 strings, we're barring all 6 strings. So pressing down on all 6 strings with our index finger. So for this, then we take our, after we bar all the strings on the 2nd fret, take the middle finger and press down on the 3rd string at the 3rd fret, and then your index and pinky fingers and press down on the 5th and 4th strings. So this general shape is the major chord shape on the 6th string. And then again, whatever the top note is at the index finger is the name of the chord. So this is the F sharp major chord. So what's cool about it is if we move it up, let's say over here to A, then this would be A, how you play A major. So that's just an example. And then this is B of how we can play a major chord by just moving up the same shape. So again, so we have our B major here on the 5th string. Then we move up to the 6th string with the F sharp major bar chord. So then from there, we move up to G sharp minor. So it's a similar shape as the major, but instead of holding down the 3rd string with our middle finger, we pull that up. And so now we are just barring the all the strings starting at the 4th fret, and then we're holding down the 5th and 4th string. So that is the G sharp minor chord. Then we go back to F sharp minor, and then E. So all together, that sounds like, remember when I first left, I remember my stomach felt empty. I left a piece of you that was part of me. Back in that city where I grew up, that one I know so well. Now my whole life is crashing down all around me. Yeah. Well, even, I've been playing for however many years and my hand's getting a cramp, so it starts to hurt. That is the B major, F sharp major, G sharp minor, back to F sharp major, E, and then back to B. And then again, you want to get it a nice clean sound without any ringing or any of the strings being muted. So the chorus has similar chords, just actually one missing. So the chorus goes from B major to G sharp minor to F and then to E. My heart rips out my chest when I have to leave you. Gray clouds cover my sky when I have to leave you. I commit to work so we'll never have to live apart. I'm in a full-on sprint to reach the time when I don't have to leave you. So yeah, the chord progression for the chorus is very similar to the verses and pre-chorus and bridge. So just you go from the B major, and then instead of going up to F sharp major, you go to G sharp minor, and then down to F sharp major, and then E, and that's essentially how to play Can't Take Being Away. Now I'm gonna show you a quick music theory lesson on chord progressions. Okay, so now talking about the chord progressions. So the verses contain a 1, 5, 6, 5, 4 chord progression. And we're going to talk about why that is in a second. And the chorus contains a 1, 6, 5, 4 chord progression. Yeah, so now we'll talk about why. Okay, so the reason I say this is a 1, 5, 6, 5, 4 chord progression is because those are the corresponding chords in the major scale. So B major is the first chord of the major scale, F sharp is the fifth chord, G sharp minor is the sixth chord, and so forth. So if we look here, this is the major scale and the notes in the major scale. So that includes B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. So in numbers, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so these are the notes of the major scale. So what's interesting is the first, fourth, and fifth chords of the major scale are always major, and then the second, third, and sixth chords of the major scale are minor chords, and then the seventh is a diminished. In this chord progression, we have a 1, which is major, a 5 major, then we go to the 6, which is minor, F sharp, which is the fifth again, and the fourth with it, which is major as well. And similar to the chorus, we have a 1, 6th, 5, 4. So again, a major to a minor to a major, and then another major. One thing that's noteworthy about these numbers is that you could take these numbers and play them the same intervals in another key. So for example, you could move it to like C, and I'm not great at doing this in my head, but so the first chord of C would be C major, and then the sixth in C would be A minor, and then the F would be, the 5 would be a G major, and then the E would be F. So that would be the same chord progression, or essentially the same interval progression, but just with different notes. So the main reason I study chord progressions and those progressions as numbers, the number intervals, is that it helps me to know what chord progressions and chord types are used in different genres. So this Can't Take Being Away is an indie pop song, so pop and indie pop genres typically use major and minor chords. R&B uses major and minor, but also like seventh chords as well. So just different genres have quintessential chord progressions. And like I mentioned before, if you know like your genre typically uses like a 1, 4, 5, which is really typical in like pop music, you can do that same chord progression but in various keys, and so forth in R&B, country music, jazz. So that's why I like to study the progressions and the numbers. So we covered a lot in this tutorial. We talked about bar chords, I taught you to play one of my songs, and we talked about chord progressions and music theory. So thanks for sticking with me. I hope you got something out of it. If you have more questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to address them. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed and got something out of it. Thanks for watching.